Now, the Switch 2 was announced on the 17th of January, and this video is coming out on the 30th of January. That was basically yesterday. Also, I'm sorry about the clickbaity thumbnail and title. Now, over the last few weeks, ever since the Switch 2 was announced, a lot of people have been asking me about my thoughts on the Switch 2. So, here's a video about it. Now, off the bat, I think the Switch 2 looks great. I like that it's bigger, I like that the Joy-Cons are bigger as well, because before the Nintendo Switch, I didn't know my hands could cramp up and hurt playing video games. I really like the new sleek aesthetic look as well. I like the way you even connect the Joy-Cons to the sides, because I never really liked that slidey thing. Even that backstand thing, which is absolutely horrible in the Nintendo Switch, because like, Nintendo, whose idea was that? They should get fired. So yeah, with that little assessment, I do think the Nintendo Switch is great. I love the idea of it. I can't wait for it to come out. There are a couple of other things that I do want to say about the Switch 2 though. One of those things is the whole backwards capability thing. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the Switch promo, it says plays Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive games as well as Nintendo Switch games. Now, the way that I interpret that means you'll be able to play your Nintendo Switch games on the Nintendo Switch 2, but not the other way around. And if that's the case, good. Personally, I've always thought that if you have a new and improved, stronger system, the content made for that system should be for that system and future systems. Personally, the way that I see it is, what's the point of buying a new and improved system if all the games that are being developed in it is being developed for the old system? The previous generation, if you must. The Switch had its time, the Switch had its era, technology has improved, there's a lot more things we can do with technology now, so it's time for a new system that can take advantage of all the new technologies. You see, this is actually why I'm so happy that GTA 5 said fuck you to the PS4 owners. This game is for the PS5! Now at the same time, I do understand that a lot of people might get upset if they don't get their hands on the Switch 2, but honestly, something that you have to remember when it comes to stuff like this is, gaming is a luxury. Not a necessity. So give it some time, you might not get it straight away, give it some patience, and I'm sure the people who can't get it straight away will eventually end up with it. Also, what I'm saying about the compatibility thing, that Switch 2 games won't operate on the Switch 1, that's not really fact, that's just interpretation. But yeah, I do think at the same time that if you're making something exclusively for the Switch 2, Switch 1 shouldn't be an option for that. But I do believe for the next year or two that there will be a lot of backwards compatibility and they will keep making games for the Switch 1, but there is going to be a lot more focus on the Switch 2. Now with that, I'm not actually expecting the system to be super powerful. Truthfully, if I just got a bigger Switch with the same specs as the regular Switch, I would still be happy. But I do know that there's a notion that Nintendo don't make strong systems, and that for some reason makes them inferior to other consoles. Consoles like PC or PS5. Or Xbox 2, I guess. But I'm gonna say it like this. I'm a gamer, not a tech nerd. I don't actually care about hyper-realistic graphics as long as the game is fun. A game does not have to be super powerful with 200 gigabytes of data and shit to be a good game. In fact, if we think it like this, for the last 3 years I've been making a best games video every year where I put 10 games on the list. So out of all 30 games that made it onto those various lists, 11 games that made those lists were available on the Switch, 3 of them were Switch exclusives, and although it was ported to the Switch after a long time its release, one of those games were even my game of the year, my game of the year of 2022, Stray. I genuinely do believe that Nintendo does make the best games for its systems compared to its competitors. And they do it by making games as fun as possible. And I doubt this is going to stop with the Switch 2, which is a huge reason of why I'm excited for this console. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the Switch 2. Again, sorry for the clickbait thumbnail and title. But now, also anyway, I also want to take this opportunity to do a little Q&A to finish the video off. Do you have any predictions on how the Switch 2 will operate in terms of specs and operating systems? Honestly, not really. Like I said before, I'm a gamer, I'm not a tech nerd, but I have heard rumors and stuff that it'll be 1080p handheld mode, and that's more than enough for me. As for the operating system, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say here, but I expect it to be very similar to what the Switch 1 was like. I don't expect or want any drastic changes. Predictions on new games for the Switch 2. So, I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of new games in the next 5 to 7 years, but I'll say some games that I just assume is gonna be coming out within the first year of release. I fully expect Pokemon Legends EA to be made for the Switch too. Also, probably a new Animal Crossing game, a new Legend of Zelda game, Splatoon 4, and something that I do hope is they introduce emulators for old consoles and a whole bunch of games for those old consoles as well. Like seriously, I feel like emulation is at a point where it should be treated like the Netflix model. To stop people from pirating games, literally just offer it yourself for a low sum of money. Netflix is expensive, but like, you know what I mean. Is there any type of music you enjoy and favorite video game character? I enjoy all sorts of music, but I will say when I was younger, when I was a teenager, I loved music a lot more than how much I love music now. But I do still listen to all kinds of music. I like the good old pop music. I like just about every single song that makes it onto the Billboard Hot 100. I'm a huge fan of the likes of The Weeknd, Zayn Malik, Bruno Mars, Justin Bieber. I also love old school bands as well, like ABBA, AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, as well as old school rap like Eminem, Tupac, NWA, Snoop Dogg. I really like Japanese city pop as well. That's a vibe. Absolutely love the song Plastic Love. I'm also a huge Olivia Rodrigo simp. And with that, I also love songs in different languages as well. My favorite song in a different language is probably Shinanoga Iwa by Fujikaze, or even Arabian Nights by Mishal, which is sang in 3 different languages. Hawaii, Despacito, Thaman Ajiba, Kya Mujhe Pyar Hai, Abar Eloje Shonda, and so much more. I love songs in different languages. Now here's another thing that I want to mention as well. If you asked me this question like 5 years ago, I was a very big fan of lo-fi pop, and a song that really stuck with me, it's probably the song that I listened to the most in my entire life, was a song called Your Love Makes Me Depressed by Shiloh Dynasty. But yeah, I enjoy all sorts of music. I'll link a playlist of some of the songs and some of the artists I like in the description somewhere. As for my favorite video game character, that's a loaded question. There have been lots of games that I've played and lots of characters that I've absolutely adored. We all know the usual culprits: Anne from Sunhaven, Eve from Stellar Blade. If we look at the 3 games that I rank number 1 for my best game videos every year, of course I love the cat in Stray, but a lot of the characters have a lot of impact as well, like B12 from that game. I also really like Clementine, and I cannot go past Marusk. Clive from Final Fantasy 16 is an amazing character as well, next to Eve from Stellar Blade for being a protagonist that actually ends up being the best character. I also really admire Cynthia from the Pokemon series, Pokemon Generation 4. But for now, if it comes to my favorite character, it might be a little bit of recency bias because I just played Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but Final Fantasy VII definitely has the best characters, and just about any choice for your favorite character would be a valid choice. Whether it be Cloud, Tifa, Aerith, Red 13, Barret, just about everyone. But for now, I would say from Final Fantasy VII, the entire series, my favorite character from that is Zack Fair, and yeah, I would honestly probably say Zack Fair is my favorite character in video games. Will you do a streamathon in the future? Depending how you define streamathon, probably. Like, if we talk about streams that go 8 hours or over, I am sure that will happen without me even intending to do a stream that long. But if you mean like up to 12 hours, I'm going to say that's unlikely. I've done 2 of those in my life. One of them was hell, and the other one was quite chill. But honestly, it might just happen depending on what I do, but I'll just say it's unlikely. If you had to pick one video you've done overall on your channel, which one would you redo / re-record and why? That is actually a really good question. So, if I'm being absolutely honest, overall, I think most of my videos are pretty good, at least relative to my skill and my experience. Like, obviously, the further back you go on my videos, you obviously see the quality kind of go down, but you also see a lot of progress in a lot of ways. Like, for example, something that'll affect quality is something that I'm doing right now. I'm filming this like 3 or 4 hours after I filmed the rest of the video with no script, and the lighting is probably very off compared to the rest of the video as well. Why did I do this? I honestly didn't notice you asked me this question. But it's little things like that which affect quality, and then future me will come back to now and think I shouldn't have done it like that, I should have paid more attention to detail. It's kind of like that. But like I said, most of the videos that I made, I think relative to my skill level and my experience is actually a good video. But I'm glad that you asked the question that you did, because there is one video that I made that I at first thought was a good video, but later realized why it's a bad video. Let me show you. So if you go onto my YouTube channel and you go to 3 years ago, there is a video named A Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl Great Games, which is sitting on 32 views right now. Now, of course, I was just starting out with content creating back then, and there was a lot that I had yet to learn. But when I originally made this video, I spent a long time on it. I spent a long time writing the script. I spent a long time recording and everything. And I kind of did the bare minimum with editing, thinking that the topic and my take on the topic will actually carry the video. But even then, I feel like the way I presented the video wasn't actually that good. Like, genuinely, let's go have a look so you know how boring it actually is. We won! We won! We won! So, that happened. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are the latest additions into the Pokemon gaming franchise. These games have been presenting itself as a faithful remake of the original games on the Nintendo DS, which a lot of us fell in love with when we were younger. There was a lot of hype behind this game a long time before it even came out, and a very mixed reception of it between the announcement and the release. Okay, so that's basically what the entire video is. I think I was onto something with my introduction, because that sort of a cold intro is something you do see a lot in a lot of future videos, but I do it well in those videos. In this one, as much as I think I sound clear, I don't have any expression in my voice. I'm just kind of talking. It sounds like there's a robot talking to you. And not only that, but for a video that's almost 9 minutes long, I also didn't bother to put any music, thinking my voice would carry the entire video. I've always had a belief that if you make your content entertaining, it will get views. And I feel like that's something I have seen over time. You make a good thumbnail. By the way, this video had a horrible thumbnail. You make a good thumbnail and then you make a good video, views will come in. But with this video, I feel dumb that at the time I thought the way that I approached making this video would be good for me and my channel. Because this is a video that I thought was going to end up getting a lot of views, and I was very disappointed when it didn't get views, because I thought I did everything right, when in reality I did everything wrong. As you can see, it's got 4 likes, one of the likes for myself. It's got only, 32 views, probably 33 now. And yeah, if I had the opportunity, I probably do have the opportunity, but I'm not going to bother, I would make this video again, and I would make it properly. But anyways, moving on. 3 must-haves for starting creating YouTube content for newbies? Honestly, that's a great question. I think the barrier to entry isn't really that much. By the way, I'm gonna be mentioning a lot more than 3 things. Sorry, I'm not following instructions. But even though the barrier to entry isn't that much, to be successful is definitely something different. 3 things if you just want to start, in my opinion, would be a mixture of just any sort of device, PC, laptop, phone, maybe all 3, an internet connection, and some sort of an editing software. Like for me personally, I use my PC for filming purposes, I use my phone for screenshots and screen recordings, and I use my laptop and edit on 2 softwares, CapCut and iMovie. Both are free softwares. If you want to be a video game streamer as well, which is something else that I do, 3 things that I think is essential would 1, have a good microphone, the Elgato capture cards. I've used other capture cards and they are all so bad, they all suck, so that's why I'm saying specifically Elgato ones, and a powerful PC. Of course, you can start streaming with a lot less, especially if you do video games solely on a PC, but if your equipment doesn't really improve over time, I don't think you're gonna find success over time too. Your channel grows with you, and if you don't grow, your channel won't either. I have a lot of thoughts on content creating, as a content creator, but I do think the barrier of entry isn't really that high, and you can do whatever you want as long as you have a smartphone. Why is the Discord name Kate Bush? I don't know Kate Bush! On a scale of 1 to 10, how hot do you think Savvy is? Scale broken. This isn't a question. I'm gaslighting now and telling you that you're coming back to Canada. I'd like to know... I'd like to know when so I can plan accordingly. Favorite CEO assassin?